Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. Special edition Friday night. We didn't do a show last night, so I thought I'd make it up to you guys tonight. Been a lot going on. I've been running my tail off. I'll tell y'all a little bit about that. We'll get to your comments, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the video I released right before this live took place. But yeah, so I was in North Carolina and I took a 3-stop load to Washington State, paid $6,400, and then I backed it up with another load that was super hot, paid $2,500 for kind of an overnight run. And on paper, there's no way I should have been able to do it. And somehow I pulled it off by the hair of my chin. But I mean, barely. I had like 15 minutes left. And so I was sweating bullets. When I got to the place, I hopped out of my truck and I ran into the shipping office, trying to get there before 11. And so, yeah, that's why I couldn't have made a video Thursday night. If I'd have done it, I'd have been late, and I didn't want to do that. So I made it, and because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, I didn't book another load. And those of you that's ever ran the spot market, you know, Friday afternoons can be tough. I had a couple of loads that I thought I was going to get this afternoon. They fell apart at the last minute. I got a couple of brokers that I'm still working with, trying to get something put together. May leave out tomorrow morning, but at this point, there's a slight possibility that I could have to hang around till Monday to get another load. But even then, $6,400 plus $2,500, it's $8,900 for a dry van, roughly a week time span. So not bad, not bad. I'm pretty happy with it. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, why I've been so busy. Let me say hi to a few people and we'll jump right into this. Some of you I said hi to the comments already, but we'll circle back around to you anyway. Adam was the first one here, best I can tell. Says, good evening, Todd, checking in from the semi. So Adam's driving tonight. He kind of farms and drives a truck at the same time. Also, I'm not sure how many people we'll have here tonight. It's Friday night. I get it. You're out on dates with your spouses, significant others, whatever. Some of you are out here working though, so. Also, it was an unplanned video. I really didn't know if I was going to be able to come on tonight or not. So we'll take what we can get, and hopefully over the weekend, those that missed it will come back and catch it. Don is also here. Thanks for being here, Don. Also having some technical issues. My internet kept crashing. At this point, I don't know if it's the laptop or the phones that are doing it or what. And but anyway, it crashed a couple of times, and some of the comments are not showing up through StreamYard, so I'm having to kind of glance over at my phone. If you see me glance off to the side every once in a while to make sure I'm not missing any comments. If your comment goes to the phone but it doesn't come to StreamYard, then I won't be able to put it on screen, but I'll try to answer you if I do see it. Let's see. Adam says he's asked him how he's doing. He says he's been doing good, making headway on the corn harvest. Minor issues with a brand new trailer. Had a rock or a corn stalk break a brass fitting on the service brake line to the chamber. Let's see. I told him, dang, that stinks. We're almost caught up. And then he said, yeah, but it was only a $25 fix. So that's good that it wasn't a major repair. Gary's here. Says, hello, Trucker Todd. I had a nice phone conversation yesterday with Scott from your company. Sounds like a pretty nice guy. I may be making a move soon. Scott has me thinking now. So for those that don't know, I know some of you missed some of the videos. I released where I'm working. I'm working for a company called SRO Logistics out of Gulfport, Mississippi. I should say the correct term is I'm contracted to. I'm running the spot market, picking my own loads. There is no lease purchase here, so you have to have your own truck. And in the little ticker below the video there, I've got Scott's email. If you guys want to contact him for more information, it's safety@srologistics.com. And so email him, tell him who you are, that you're a viewer of Trucker Todd, and he'll be happy to answer your questions. And remember, he's one guy, so he'll get back to you as quick as he can, but usually it's within a few hours. He's pretty quick. So, yeah, if you've been thinking about buying your own truck and making the jump into the spot market, then definitely give Scott an email. I think the market is starting to improve. Like I said, I had the best week I've had in a while, $8,900 gross revenue. Now, of course, I got to take all my expenses out of that. But even with all my expenses out of that, I'm still well over $4,000 for the week, taking out truck payment and everything. So not a bad week at all. And I needed it. Like I've shared in other videos, I've got a ton of personal debt that I'm trying to knock down, which is nobody's fault but my own. And so, but that's how you take care of it. You just get out here and you keep plugging away. And then I commented that I did just release a recorded video, which we'll talk about in a minute, talking about the proposed speed limiters that the FMCSA wants to ram down our throats. And so I kind of gave my thoughts on that. Let's see. I told Gary, sounds good. I think the more you get to know him, the more you'll like him and the easier your decision will become. Gary says he made a lot of sense about lease purchases and buying things on your own. Yeah, one thing that helps, and that's that he's owned a couple of businesses prior to this and been really successful. Owned a restaurant chain, owned a mechanic shop of some kind, and so he's not some truck driver that just got out here, had no business experience, and is now giving it a shot for the first time. He's also a truck driver himself, out driving every day. So when you're frustrated, complaining about the stresses of being a truck driver, he gets it. So I'm glad you're having a good experience with him, and that's why I'm mentioning it here, so that if some of you are on the fence, you're kind of shy, don't know if you should call him or not. When somebody like Gary has a good experience, then maybe that'll put your mind at ease. Now, the big problem, the barrier for entry for a lot of guys is going to be having your own truck. And like I said, I know several dealerships that'll work with you, even if you got credit issues. Some of them as low as $1,500 down, but you got to wonder what kind of truck you're going to get for $1,500 down. If you can get in that $5,000 to $10,000 range, your options and the quality of truck you're going to get goes up quite a bit. And obviously, if you got 40 or 50,000, you can get an even nicer truck. Asphalt Jungle's with us tonight. Thank you for being here, sir. Let's see. Gary says, Scott also told me that several ex-advanced trucking drivers have gone over to him now. That's amazing when I heard that. Yeah, I haven't met, but I only know one of his drivers other than myself. And I've talked to another one on the phone once. But I think in all of his time and all of his existence as a trucking company, I only know of one driver that quit, and it was an arrangement that they had that the guy was going to work for him 6 months and then get his own authority. And that's what he did. It wasn't like he was a disgruntled driver that got mad and quit. It was just like, all right, 6 months is up. I appreciate the opportunity you gave me, but I'm going to go do my own thing now. And they left on good terms. They parted on good terms. And I believe they're still in contact and still friends, if I'm not mistaken. Michael is here. Good evening, Michael. I'm listening tonight at the TA truck stop in Mount Vernon, Texas. I will be reloading later tonight, going back to Phoenix, Arizona. I didn't know there was a TA in Mount Vernon. I've got a lot of family that lives in that area, and I know there's a Love's there, but that TA must be new if it's in Mount Vernon. There's that one in Rockwall. There's one in Caddo Mills. Uh, are you sure it's Mount Vernon? Maybe it's a new one I'm not aware of. But yeah, I've got a lot of family in that area. And my sister used to live in Mount Vernon. I have T-Mobile and was having technical difficulties earlier, but now it's fixed and working good. Yeah, my T-Mobile of T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, 9 times out of 10, T-Mobile has the fastest data speeds, followed by AT&T, and Verizon's last. Phone calls, Verizon and AT&T seem to be about equal, but data, T-Mobile and AT&T seem to blow Verizon out of the water. Hey, Ramon is here. Thanks for being here. I think my starter is starting to go out on my Freightliner. That sucks. Yes, sir, it does. Mine went out at the perfect time, but it sounded like a horrible place at the time. Mine went out my first day of orientation, and I just got lucky that that the owner of the company I work for, Scott, the guy that me and Gary was talking about, or me and you were talking about actually, uh, he he did. It was probably a 90-10 split. He did 90% of the work, and I did about 10%. But there's no way I had the tools or the physical dexterity to put that starter in myself, and didn't have the finances either. I'd really whittled myself down, so it happened at a great time. Stan says too many foreigners in the game now. Yeah, earlier today that delivery I made that I barely made, I backed into a dock and it was tight, but it was what I would call a moderate back. It wasn't by far it wasn't the worst back I've done ever, and by far it wasn't the worst back I've done in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I mean, it was a moderate back, a little tight. And he said the truck before me was unable to back in there. That he said it was an impossible back for a truck. And I said, well, maybe he's new, something like that. He said, yeah, and there was a language barrier. He was a foreigner, and I said, well, he probably wasn't super experienced on backing. And I'm not the greatest backer in the world. I'm above average, but I'm not Mr. Go to truck competitions and win. I can get the job done, and that's about it. But it's all in the setup. If you get a good setup, uh, then it's pretty easy to back. But if you don't set yourself up and kind of strategize how you're going to get in that dock, it can be near impossible. And I'll tell you what's funny is these docks where you've got a huge amount of room, that's where I have the problems. You take me to one that's difficult, and I seem to zip it right in there. Maybe it's because I got other trailers and I can kind of use them as guides. But man, you give me an open spot, 5 or 6 spots with no trailers around me, and I may have to do 10 or 15 pull-ups sometimes. And I'll usually joke with the people about it. I'm sorry, it's my first day. They're like, we know better than that. You've been here before. But yeah, it's we all have our good and bad days. The key is to not hit anything. Get out and look as many times as you got to. It's going to tick everybody else off, but not nearly as bad as if you hit something while you're backing up. Terry B, did you get your plates and insurance through him? Got my plates through him, did not get my insurance through him. He doesn't offer a payroll style deducted insurance. He has a company he likes that he'll give you their phone number if you want to talk to him. But I already had a relationship with OIDA for insurance. And so I went through OIDA for my insurance. Plates, I had planned to get my own plates through Texas, But you remember we had that issue with the brakes and getting the inspection and all of that. And I blew through so much money in Lubbock that week trying to get that truck title transferred over that we just decided I had enough that I could have still got my own plates, but it would have been really, really tight. And I still had to drive to Mississippi for orientation. And then when that starter went out, if I'd have spent that money on plates, then I'd have really been in a bind. So in hindsight, I'm glad I did it. I got my plates through him. And we had the agreement that I think they expire in February. So like December, January, I'll start working on getting the Texas tags. And if something happens and I can't do it or whatever, I think he'll be fine with me getting them from him again. But yeah, that's how I did that. I think that'll be the biggest adjustment for a lot of people. If it's trailer related, yeah, call him. But if it's truck related, it's your truck. You got to take care of it. So um, that means finding your own breakdown and everything. And you know, uh, I know a lot of people. I've had guys ask me, "Well, does he have a maintenance account?" Nope. It's you have a maintenance account. It's your truck. I'm sure he has one for his trailer. I'm sure he sets aside so many cents per mile for trailer repairs, trailer blowouts, things like that. But when it comes to the truck, it's on you. Stan says, "Let's go back to Dart." Uh, I think everybody knows Dart will always have a special place in my heart. Uh, I had some load board experience when I went back there and got on their OPI board, which they no longer offer to people. But they kind of took a chance on me and gave me a shot on the OPI board, and I did really well on it. But the face of Dart is totally different than it was when I was there. I mean, different CEO. A lot of the leadership is gone. A lot of the people I worked with is gone. So um, my problem with Dart has always been the shop and the safety department. I feel like the safety department micromanages you, and I feel like that most of their shops are pretty good, but the one in Lancaster, Texas, and the one in Ellenwood, Georgia, are dishonest shops. And I've caught them doing dishonest things in the past. Now I don't know if that guy is if those mechanics and the dishonest people I worked with are still there or not. But you know, once you have a bad experience like that, it's just hard to trust again. And I've got videos about all my experience at Dart. A lot of people said, even other YouTubers, they're like, "Well, when you left Dart, you should have took those videos down." And I'm like, "No, they're still interesting and helpful content there. People want to know what my experience was like with that company, then you can go back and watch those videos and see that." And I tell people, hey, that was 2 years ago. Your experience might be totally different now, but I'm just telling you what happened to me when I was there. Thought Tim worked with you guys. Yeah, I don't want to speak on behalf of Tim, but yeah, I don't see him in here tonight. I don't know if he's here or not. TA took over this truck stop. It's at the same exit at Love. So it's probably that wasn't it like a Sefco or something? That's good though. I'm glad there's a TA there. Ramsey Truck Sales, Hialeah Gardens, Florida, 5 to 15 down payment, even with bad credit. Yeah, there's a million of them. There's Accelerate Leasing that's got multiple lots. There's Diamond Truck Sales. There's Roy's Truck Sales out of, I think, Fort Worth or somewhere. If you got a little more money and you've got quite a bit in the bank, there's Lone Mountain. Another company a lot of people forget about is called HEC Leasing, and all those companies will work with you. Um, but just don't be so desperate for a truck that you take a bad one. Um, Look it over, try to get a good truck. This truck's been great. I just don't like how some of the office staff at this dealership that I got my truck from have behaved after the sale. You know, they always say character's what you do when nobody's watching. Well, in business, character's what the company does after the sale. So, and I'd say the same for truck drivers. Uh, your character, your business character, is what you do after you deliver the load. You know, I had a customer call me the other day that they had forgot to do something on the load and they needed the broker's phone number. I could have said, I don't have it no more, not my problem. I could have ignored their call. There's a million things I could have done, but I answered the phone. I helped him. I said, hey, if you have any more problems, call me. I'll help you. And, you know, the guy was like, wow, most drivers won't do that. So, um, it's, you know, it's supposed to be before and after the sale. And so while you're hauling that load, do as best you can to work with your customer, do what they need. But then after the sale, if they say, hey, hey Todd, can you do this to the bills? You know, could you send the bills to this email also, or you know, something like that? Then try to accommodate them as best you can. And you know, it leaves a good image in their mind about you as a driver. It leaves a good image in their mind about your company, and it can hurt you for that 5 minutes worth of extra work you're going to do. Gary says, gold, get out and look. Exactly. Exactly. None of us like doing it. I get it. It's embarrassing, but it's a lot more embarrassing when you take off somebody's hood or somebody's mirror, or you're backing in a dock and you rip your door off your trailer. That's a lot more embarrassing. Daryl's here. Hey, Daryl, thanks for coming in. OTR Vic is here. Hello, sir. Thank you. Ah, it's a Shell station. Man, I need to get over that way and visit family. They recently had like a mini reunion recently, and I wasn't able to make it. But you know, my dad's over there, and I'm pretty close to him, so I'd like to run by and see him. And my sister's there, and I've got some cousins and things like that. So I would like to make it over that way here pretty soon. Michael says no, Cordell. That's my stance right now. And you know what's funny? Here's what's funny is I'm a very forgiving person. If they would call and apologize, they have no idea how far that would go with me. But all the shady and underhanded stuff they've done, and it's not with the truck itself, it's other stuff. But for example, me and two other guys that bought a truck there that I know of had a horrible time getting the titles transferred to our state. A dealership should be able to streamline that a little bit, but they don't realize how far an apology would go. And I don't mean because I made a video. I mean just a heartfelt, Todd, we screwed up, we're sorry. But they're not going to do that because uh, either they don't have a conscience or they don't feel bad about what they did or they don't think they did anything wrong. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but it's a good question for Avery. I'd like to know what Avery thinks about it. And I texted him as recently as this morning or yesterday morning and still hadn't heard back from him. So that tells me a lot right there. Not only am I not getting an apology, but I'm getting backburnered, which really boils my blood. Don't see how you do it, Lisa. And I found a local gig making six figures. Um, you know, it's a whole, maybe I need to do a video series on it. And I've by no means arrived. There's guys out here that do it a lot better than I do. But I think my car sales background helps a lot. I got good people skills. I'm an excellent negotiator. And I think I run my truck fairly efficiently. I'd be loaded right now, or very comfortable. Let's call it very comfortable. If I just hadn't taken on so much personal debt. But from a business standpoint, I've got that locked in pretty good. It's my personal life that I need to lock in. And so it's I guess it's technically a lease, but the title's in my name. It's a lease to own or lease to purchase, or the balloon payment at the end is $1. But I mean, I'm paying about half what a lot of lease purchases are, paying $6.95 a week, and there's guys paying 1,300-1,400 a week. I've got a lot cheaper insurance because I went through OIDA and I qualified for a lot of discounts because of my experience. Obviously, that accident didn't help my rates any, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's I'm not getting rich, but I'm doing pretty good. And some of it's just knowing what loads to take, not loads to take. It's 27 years or almost 27 years. So I'm a couple of months shy of 27 years of driving, and you just pick up a lot. It's also having people that you can call and get advice from. Like I said, I don't know everything. Sometimes I'll bounce ideas off Scott. I'll call him and say, "Hey Scott, what do you think about this?" Sometimes I call Tim. "Hey Tim, what do you think about this?" I got another guy named Jim that works at Roadrunner. I sometimes I'll call him if I think it's one of his expertise. Say, "Hey Jim, what do you think?" And so being open-minded enough to take advice and constructive criticism from other people is also a big help. But it's basically just spending less than you take in, and it's I've been very fortunate. My truck hadn't had a lot of breakdowns, and that's helped a lot too. Josh McLean, hello, hello. Thank you for being here, sir. Lone Mountain, I have like 12K in the bank, 4K down payment. They not approve me. Yeah, I saw another YouTuber that him and his co-driver went to Lone Mountain and got a truck, and I think they had to put like 10,000 down and have 10,000 in the bank. And Lone Mountain wanted to see 3 months worth of bank statements. I'm not real comfortable doing that. How I spend my money and where I spend my money is my business, I think. Now, if they want to see that main page that shows deposits and withdrawals to see that I'm making more than I'm spending, I get that. But if they need to see itemized every time I went to Dairy Queen, and I mentioned Dairy Queen because that's where I ate earlier, or they need to see, you know, every time I went to buy a new pair of shoes or got a haircut, I don't think that's none of their business. Uh-oh. Internet's trying to freeze. I hope y'all are still with me. Mike says, "Hello from California, heading back to Texas." That's a good run right there. I wouldn't mind doing that all the time. Running across 10 on that flat land. A lot of cheap fuel, a lot of easy parking places. I envy you, Mike. You got a good deal. Trucker Todd, long time, bud. Yes, sir. Glad to see you again. Glad you made it back. You bought in Iowa. Yeah, that was purely coincidence. Really, up until probably 3 or 4 days before I bought this truck, I was going to buy a Western Star from Accelerate Leasing, and it was somewhere in Georgia. And the big deciding factor between that truck and this truck was this truck had a 2-year, 250,000 mile warranty, and it had an APU, and it was a fancier truck. It had the heated and air conditioned seats. It had leather seats. It has this swivel seat I'm sitting in now. It has the touch screen on the dash with the terrible built-in navigation. Uh, so yeah, it's a nice truck. Do you have a 4-year lease? So as far as the terms of the lease, I'm not revealing that because there's different terms for based on your credit and the risk that you are and things like that, also based on the truck. It's my understanding that they have leases from 3 to 5 or 6 years. And so I'm somewhere in there. A guy I know got one recently. It's an older truck, and I think his is only financed 2.5 or 3 years. His payments are cheaper. And so they've got different ones for different people. And the reason I don't give my exact numbers is all it does is tick people off. If you think I got a good deal and you call them and they can't make you the same deal, then you're going to be ticked off. And if you call and get a better deal than me, then you're going to think I'm an idiot and I'm never going to hear the end of it. So, I mean, my personal numbers don't really affect anybody. And I mean, I tell you the truck payment, it's my truck payment's 695, and I believe they said that the truck payments range from 650 to 750 a week. But so I'm right in the middle. But if I start giving numbers, all it does is tick people off. Half the people are mad because they didn't get the same deal, and half the people are mad because they think I'm an idiot for taking the deal. But I will tell you that when you're considered a first time buyer, and even though I had a truck paid off, title in hand, that one I totaled, they still consider you a first time buyer. Even though I'd done over 20 years of lease purchases and paid a couple of them off, still considered me a first time buyer. And your interest rates are higher. Uh, Everything's higher when you're a first time buyer. Now, next time I buy a truck, I should be not considered a first time buyer anymore. And my options should open up a lot, depending on how my credit is at that time. And the amount of negotiating and deals I can get should be a lot better as well. Stan, you're correct about the foreigners. Yep, yep. I think we all agree about that. And I don't blame them for wanting to come here and better their lives, but I blame whoever's training them, because what you've got to do when you acclimate to a new country is learn the customs and laws of that country. For example, if I moved to Mexico and wanted to be a truck driver down there, I would have to learn Mexican traffic laws. I would have to learn how to speak Spanish, or any other country. And for them to come here and drive like they're in a third world country, it's dangerous. And somebody didn't do their due diligence in teaching them and preparing them to come here. And that includes hygiene as well. So yes, and every truck I've ever, including lease purchase trucks, require this. Um, Cordell wants you to have it insured to the amount that you owe on the truck, and you can't blame them. They're the lien holder, and so I've got my truck insured to the value of the truck. And that's why I don't even like to discuss insurance rates, because my driving record's going to be different than yours, and my truck value is going to be different than yours. Same thing when I was at Swift and I went and got OIDA insurance. I had a contract. I went on my contract and seen what the payoff on the truck was on the date that I insured it, and I insured it for that amount. They wanted a deductible, if I remember correctly, under 2,000. That wasn't ever an issue for me. It was only about a $20 difference between a 2,000 deductible and a 1,000 deductible. And so I put it at 1,000, and I've got my own private dash cam in here. You guys that are on TikTok with me, you've seen some dash cam footage. And when if I have an incident, if I show them dash cam footage at my discretion, I don't have to, but if I do show them dash cam footage, they cut my deductible in half from 1,000 down to 500. Man, my voice is going early. It looks like tonight's episode is going to be brought to you by Cherry Coke Zero. I'm an old man now. I hadn't ran that hard in a while. Those 2 loads kicked my butt. That's why I'm not jumping up and down and complaining about sitting tonight. Used to own a 2003 Western 525 Cummins, red top 13 speed. Man, I'd love to have a truck like that now. And that's one thing about working for Scott, too. I think Scott would be pretty open minded if I got an older pre EGR truck because he doesn't go to California or Oregon anyway. So as long as it would pass a DOT inspection and it looked good, I think he would be pretty open minded. We've never had that discussion because I plan to have this truck for several years. But if this deal fell through on this truck somehow, and I could get a good deal on an older one that was still in decent shape, I'd be tempted to do it. However, I was listening to Cash is King earlier today, and he made a really good point too. The fuel economy on these new trucks has improved so much that, man, it's time to stop looking at hooded trucks and start looking at plastic trucks. I thought he made a very good point today about that. Very strong argument. And you say, well, the rate should be good enough. I don't have to worry about fuel economy. And it should, but it's not. Fuel is ridiculous right now. I just bought some the other day in Washington State for over $5 a gallon. And so anything you can do to save on fuel is really important. Would I love to have a 389 or a W9 or W990? Absolutely. But this T680 has a very similar interior, and it's a lot lighter and better on fuel, and a lot better. John Fuller, hey Todd, how is that headset holding up? Please tell us the make of it again. Yeah, it's in my description of my video. It is called a Modcom 1. It's made by a company called Trident, and they used to be a business to business only company, and now they are trying to go retail. They're not in any stores though, and if you use that link in the description of my video and put Trucker Todd as a coupon code, you get 20% off, and it turns it from like a $250 headset to like a $200 headset. So it's definitely worth using that code. You might remember I negotiated really, really hard to get that code for you guys because originally it was going to be $250. And matter of fact, if you go to their website and you get this headset, it is $250 without that coupon code. So you definitely want to use the code and get the discount. But it's a great headset. I'm wearing it right now, and everybody tells me it sounds good. I did a video where I walked completely, did a 360 around the truck, had a signal the whole time. Now, I'll be the first to tell you some of that depends on what kind of phone you're using, because the phones are the ones that are actually transmitting the Bluetooth signal, and the headset's just receiving it. So if you're using a $50 phone or a phone you got for free from the cell phone company, the prepaid cell phone company, you may not have the same results. But most of you are using decent phones, and I love it. I've got probably a half dozen headsets in here, and this one's probably or definitely my favorite. And matter of fact, I've got one up there that's still in the box that another company wants me to test, and I know it's going to be junk, so I hadn't even tried it yet. I just keep using this one. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, California all have a lot of foreigners. I would add Canada to that list too. And like I said, I don't have a problem with them being here. If I was in a third world country and my family was suffering, I'd be willing to come to the United States for a better life too. But I would learn United States cultures, customs, hygiene practices, traffic laws, things like that, especially if I was going to be a truck driver. And now with the border crisis, all that's going on down there. We've really got an influx of foreigners in every state right now, and it's they've got. I'm going to sound like I'm talking Star Trek and the Borg and all that, but when they come into this country, they've got to do a little bit of assimilation. They can still keep their traditions and habits and stuff like that, but they need to learn passable English, um, and they need to have gainful employment and things like that. And I would say that's kind of hit and miss right now. I mean, you probably have a 4-year lease, or hopefully not 5. It will still be around 130 at the end. Same trucks are selling for around 50. Maybe just buy your own instead of paying for this one. I see where you're going, Alaska. I'll tell you, I did not see any trucks like this in that price range. There's a lot you have to consider when you look at trucks like this. You have to consider add-ons. You have to consider condition. You have to consider options. There's a lot that figures in. I did see some in the 100 to 110 range. Um, I'd say your numbers here are close in a lot of areas, maybe a little on the high side, but yeah, I know I overpaid, and I think I said in the video that I think I overpaid by about 25,000. But I mean, you overpay every time you do a lease purchase too. And I was going to overpay if I went to Arrow or anybody else. Um, one place, who was it? I want to say it was Pedigree, was going to charge me like a 30-something% interest rate. And so it's to be expected on your first truck. And so yeah, but I get what you're saying. Cash is always the best deal, and there's an argument to be made there. But if you spend 50 on a truck, you better have another 50 in the bank for repairs, because a $50,000 truck is going to have issues, and that cash truck that you're talking about is not going to have a warranty. So if it blows an engine 3 months later, you're on the hook for that. And a lot of these Craigslist trucks, these Facebook marketplace trucks, even the online auctions, the reason they're for sale is they're somebody else's problem. Hopefully, and I said hopefully, the dealership you bought it from has gone through it. They claim they did a multi-point inspection on this truck. I think they checked some things. I think they missed some things. So there you go. For example, I know they missed some things. The brakes were out of adjustment, but they were new pads. They just weren't ever adjusted up. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if the ideal situation would be pay cash for a brand new truck, that would be the best of both worlds. You'd have a warranty, you wouldn't have any payments, but very few people can pay cash for a brand new truck. I'm drinking red Mountain Dew. Yeah, if you sip red Mountain Dew, it kind of tastes like red wine. It's pretty good. Ocho amigos. Good evening, Money Todd. Yes, sir. I had a good week. I can't get out here and badmouth it. But I know since I said that, it'll tick off a lot of people. There's a lot of people that really want me to fail, and I don't get it, because all I do is get on here and try to help people. But uh, you know, if I come out here and I go, man, it sucked this week, I really got kicked in the mouth, then they go, ah, there's Todd failing. And if I come out here and I go, man, this is one of the better weeks I've had in a long time, they're like, oh, there he is bragging, thinks he knows everything. And so I can't win. I just come on here and tell y'all the truth, and you can digest it any way you want to. The Loves in Tolleson, Arizona, fuel cash price was $5.34 a gallon. Yeah, without my discount, I've seen several places that was over $6 a gallon, and so I was like, wow. I have a friend. He has a 1998 379 525 Cummins. 18 speed, 336 rears, doing 4.8 miles per gallon. So new trucks are better on fuel economy. Yeah, that load I delivered today, it was, I want to say it was 35,000 pounds. And I ran 70, 75 the whole way where speed limits permitted. And I was getting over 8 miles a gallon. The load before it was a super light load, and I was over 9 miles a gallon. Now, I also get some loads in the sevens, so, but I'm never down in the 4.8 range. Can you walk around your truck with your headset? Yes, sir. I did a video doing that, and I forget what it's called, Real Review or something. But yeah, recently, a few weeks ago. No, I've just been idling. I hadn't stopped. I need to get that taken care of, possibly this week. It's you know, Thermo King has banker's hours, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. There's like a half dozen of them in the country, 3 to 6 somewhere in there, that are open on the weekends. Now they do have a call out service after hours, but you're going to pay big bucks for that. And so it's just finding some time Monday through Friday when I'm available that, and the shop's got the time that they can deal with it. I may just wait till next time I'm at home and run it to that Thermo King dealer. I've got a good relationship with them, and I trust them to not stick the screws to me. And so that's, yeah, I hadn't really messed with it. You might see a vibration right now. I've got the truck idling. Mark is here, must have just got here. Revenue this week, I grossed $8,900 in roughly the last 7 days. I had that North Carolina to Washington State that was $6,400, and then I had an overnight one that was $2,500, and so that puts me at $8,900 gross. That is before Scott takes his 20%. That is before I pay truck insurance or my truck payment for the week. But net, even after all of that, I'm still over $4,000, well over. I hadn't put it down to the penny, but probably somewhere in the $4,500 range, something like that. That's not common. It was a good week. Trucking with Hemi Life is here. Hello, sir. Thank you for coming in. Good to see you. So yeah, I appreciate everybody being here on a Friday night. I'm honestly surprised. I figured most of you is at home on the couch, hanging out with family, doing family things, or on a date with your spouse or significant other. And I appreciate you guys coming in. And those fuel economy numbers, just imagine how much better they would have been if my APU was working. I'd be up, probably another half mile a gallon or so. Todd, I'm at M&M Transport. Check them out. Same day pay. Book your own loads. Yep. Sounds like a good deal. Where are they out of, and how big are they? I'll look at them, but I'm pretty happy where I'm at. It would take a lot for me to move right now. There's so many things that I could tell you guys about the way Scott's treated me and stuff, but it's one of those deals like this, and there's not a nice way to say this. If I was a problem child, somebody was always in trouble, showing up late with loads, damaging equipment, things like that, not turning paperwork in correctly, not building trips correctly. First of all, he'd probably get rid of me. But if he didn't get rid of me, he probably wouldn't do as much for me as he does. And so I don't like to get on here and say, well, this week he did this or that week he did that, because then everybody that applies here is going to expect the same thing. And I don't know what kind of driver each and every one of you are. I've never rode in a truck with any of you. I've worked with a few of you, but not many of you. So it's possible he might do stuff for you or offer you things that he didn't offer me. And it's possible he gives me stuff or offers me stuff he didn't offer you. That's why I give you general, broad details, and then I say, hey, email him and get the details for your specific situation. If you if you live in a traditional state where a lot of companies won't hire you, Illinois, California, Florida, I'm not going to tell you it's not my company, Vermont. I'm not going to tell you, he won't hire you. I'm going to say, hey, get with him, tell him who you are, what you want to do, and you and him talk about it. It's his company. I'm just telling you that I like it here and that I do really well here. But it's nice to know, if I'll check out M&M for this reason. If let's pick a random name that they always use, John Doe. Let's say John Doe calls me and he says, hey, I want to talk to Scott. He emails Scott. Let's say John Doe and Scott hate each other. They're a terrible fit. Uh, then I might say, well, John Doe, contact M&M Transport. I've heard a lot of good things about them. I saw their website, and he may call M&M Transport, or she, if it's Jane Doe, and they may say, oh yeah, M&M's a lot better fit for me. I'm just telling you, for me personally, working with Scott at SRO Logistics it's the best job I've ever had in or out of trucking. And some of that is because I'm as close to being your own boss as you can be. There is no micromanagement. There is management. Like, I got to run my logs correctly. I got to, build reports. I got to scan in fuel receipts, things like that. There's procedures in place. I'm still managed by him in the way of safety. I can't get a bunch of tickets. I can't, things like that. But uh, I'm picking my own loads. I'm negotiating my own rates just like you are. And so if I'm not happy about something, 9 times out of 10, it's my fault. And that makes it nice. I can't call him and say, Scott, why'd you do this? And how could you do that? Because 9 times out of 10, if there's a screw up, it's my fault. And I gave some examples in videos recently. There's been a couple of times he's called me and he's told me something I messed up on the paperwork. And it was stuff he showed me, stuff I should have known. And I had no excuse. I'm like, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I forgot to do it. I missed it. I overlooked it. He's like, oh, it's no big deal. Just fix it when you get a chance. And then we go on. That's so much different than like when I was at Dart. And, oh, we're going to put you on safety hold, and you're going to have to come in and watch 4 hours worth of videos. And if this happens again, we're going to fire you. And it's so nice to not be an actual treated like a business owner, treated like an equal, and not as an underling that's getting pushed around. And like I said, Dart will always have a special place in my heart. And I had a lot of good experiences at Swift and F2F as well. But SRO Logistics is head and shoulders above all three of those combined. It's not even a comparison. Even F2F. F2F was the closest to what I'm doing now. It was an 80-20 split. I was renting a trailer from them, but they had a bunch of little fees in there that Scott absorbs and doesn't charge me. So I can haul the exact same load at F2F that I'm hauling here for the exact same rate, but I make more money here. Now it may be $20 or $30 more, but I'm making more money doing the exact same thing right here. And so I think sometimes we get wrapped up in the percentages and we miss all the hidden things. Here's another thing that Scott does that I hadn't even mentioned it in the video. And quite honestly, I didn't even think about it till just now. All the accessorials like detention pay, layover pay, all those things, extra stop pay, whatever you negotiate from the brokers, you keep 100% of that. He doesn't take 20%. He just takes 20% of the line haul. And so I had 1 week that I had over $600 worth of detention. I got all of that money. He didn't take 20%. And even at the time, I was like, Scott, this is a really good deal. This is the first company I've ever worked for that didn't take a percentage of that. And he's like, why would I? It's your truck. You're the one sitting there. And so I really appreciate that he's not greedy, that he's driver friendly, and that he tries to make it a good environment to work. Do you park your truck at home with the trailer, or do you have a parking spot you pay for? So the answer to that question's both. For a long time, especially when I had that Volvo, I had a parking spot that I paid 140 a month for. It was shaded, and then when I was out on the road, I parked one of my vehicles there. But that spot did not have room for a trailer, and so I had to drop the trailer at a truck stop there that I have a real good relationship with. Um, now, where I live, there's a spot I can park it out front, and usually if it's on the weekend, that's what I do. If it's not, there's a truck stop that's like probably a quarter of a mile or a half mile from my house, and I park it there. I've got, like I said, I've got that dash cam. I can remotely access it from home. I can set all kinds of perimeters on it to where if there's anything wacky going on, I know. I've got the little deal that go over your air valves that I can lock those to where it makes it harder to steal the truck. I got lots of stuff. I typically put a lock on the trailer when I'm at home so people can't throw trash in the back or homeless people climb back there and sleep. And usually a couple times a day, I randomly go by and check on the truck. And I got other people passing by there too. But short answer to your question is not directly at my house, but it's usually very, very close. And I don't have paid parking anymore just because typically I'm not home that much. I mean, I'm home, but it's spend the night there and go back out, or take a 34 there and go back out, unless there's something I really need to be home for an extended period of time, like doctor's appointments or family events or something like that. Does the warranty company have any reviews? I heard so many horror stories where they don't cover major breakdowns and they try to blame the driver. Well, yeah, that's true of any warranty, including a manufacturer's warranty like you get on a new truck. There's going to be instances, and I know from being a service writer for a couple of years and dealing with warranty companies, uh, there's going to be whatever that paper says they cover, that's it. So, for example, they might say they cover the turbo, but if something prior to the turbo caused that turbo to go out, it's called a cause of failure. Then they'll say, we're not covering the turbo because the turbo went out because of this other thing going out. And so that's why you want to read your warranty carefully. And also you want to, I've heard guys say, well, I don't need to save any money. I got a factory warranty. And it's like, you need to be prepared. All your wear and tear items are never going to be covered. There's always going to be some type of deductible. My deductible's $350. And I've been a personal victim of it. You guys might remember, I had that international with the Cummins that I got from Roadrunner. I had it about 4 weeks and the engine went out on it. They said it was dusted and it was supposed to have a warranty and the warranty wasn't going to cover it. And Roadrunner was upset at the warranty company and at the dealership that we were buying it through, because it was kind of it's called Kiss the Note. It's where the dealership kind of sells the truck to you and Roadrunner at the same time, and Roadrunner kind of guarantees the loan. And so it was no money down, basically like a lease purchase. And so Roadrunner took the truck back from me and put me in the Volvo that I had. And then they went after the people they bought the truck from, the dealership, and got their money back. But it was going to be $43,000 to rebuild that Cummins. And the warranty said, we're not going to pay it because at some point the engine had dirt introduced to it. Well, it hadn't happened in the 4 weeks I had it. I mean, so at some point in that truck's life, probably when it was taken apart for an overhead or something, some dirt got introduced into the engine, and man, it didn't do well. I can show you mini trucks for around 50K that are very similar to yours. Uh, Market is crap right now. Well, send them to me. I'll look at them. It's not going to change anything. I've already had this one 4 or 5 months, and it's not going to change anything. But again, do you have $50,000 right now? At the time, I had about half of that. I had in the 25 to 30 range. And again, I wouldn't have any warranty. Now we can debate how good warranties are, but I would say something's better than nothing. And we can also debate whether you're safer buying from an individual or from a dealership. But yeah, it's the proof's in the pudding. Send me some emails, Todd at truckertodd.net. I think you're going to have a hard time doing that, Alaska, just because you've never seen my truck. So maybe you can. I think you're going to send me what you think my truck has or don't have. But I mean, APU, you've got to add $8,000 to $10,000 to the value for that, especially with it being the Thermo King Evolution. I think the VIT interior, you've got to add some. I think there's a lot of things you may not be considering, but this is exactly why I don't give the numbers, because instead of us, and this is the problem I've got, is instead of us talking about productive things tonight, like FMCSA coming after us for speed limiters, or how we can help drivers, how we can, do something positive. We're here nitpicking a contract I did 4 or 5 months ago, trying to find a flaw in it, and it's just truck drivers eating truck drivers. The conversation you and I are having right now, Alaska, isn't benefiting nobody. But if you want to do it, let's do it. You say you can find similar trucks, send them to me. I'll take a look at them. There's a Thermo King in Indianapolis, Indiana. They are open 7 to midnight. First come, first serve. Yeah, I hadn't been able to buy a load to Indianapolis. I was looking some today. They were $1.40 a mile, and I was like, oh no. Call out service is $250 to start and $185 an hour maximum of 1 hour, or minimum of 1 hour. Yeah, and some of them have a 2 to 4 hour minimum. They're all a little different, and I can get it for like, I don't remember what my rate was last time I was in Lubbock, like 120 an hour, I think, or 140. I remember they were bragging that they were $53 an hour or something like that, cheaper than the one in Amarillo. So I know it varies from Thermo King to Thermo King. But let's look at Michael's numbers here for a second. 250 plus 185 is 435. That's just for the first hour. And they're probably going to charge at least 2 hours labor for an alternator. So you add another 185 to that. Now you're at 610, 710, something like that. And then the alternator is going to be $400 or $500. So by the time they get done with you, it's a $2,000 repair, and it would be probably 800 if you went in and had it done. And it's not that critical. I'm fine. I've been running up north here. It's cooler. There's been a lot of nights I didn't idle at all. Like last night, I wish I would have. I about froze to death. I went to bed. It was like 65. I woke up the next morning. It was like 30 something. My smart drive went out on my Peterbilt. Tried to troubleshoot, but no luck. 1350 to replace it. Yeah. One criticism of PACCAR in general, this smart drive is smart nav is a very outdated system. It's like a tablet from, what would you say, OTR, 10 years ago? Occasionally it'll have an update, but it's just, you would think they would have an updated model you could retrofit your truck with. Because I like the system, but man, it's glitchy as everything. It'll freeze up like OTR Vic's talking about. Sometimes it'll have a black screen. And the only way I've found to fix it is to turn the truck off for about 5 minutes and turn it back on. RGB is here. Hey, man, thanks for coming in. The Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night. Yeah, I bet you were happy about that. You'd be in high cotton if your APU was working. Yeah, I would be. And I'm in pretty good shape. There was a couple of nights I had to idle for 2 or 3 hours. And so every little bit adds up. I'm definitely going to fix it. It's just, I hadn't got it done yet. I'm probably going to hold off till I get to Lubbock, though, just because I know those guys and they pretty much just drop everything and jump right on mine when I get there. And they got a spot for me to park my trailer and just things like that. Was hauling a load from Chicago to Portland, have reefer problems, have to call Thermo King 1 a.m. They went and opened the shop. Was $1,000 just to check my unit. Yeah, yeah, and they know they got you over a barrel for a reefer, and that's another thing too is they know you don't have a choice. They've got some liability there for your produce or whatever you got in your trailer, and so they'll jump right on it. But you're going to pay for that accelerated service, and I'm sure the mechanic makes a pretty good commission on it too. I live in Illinois, and if Scott approves me to come on, he will let me lease on, so that made me very happy. Yeah, because he's not doing a lease purchase. That's why it's you already own your truck. The thing that scares all these companies, in my opinion, based on what they've told me, is the lease purchase side of it. They're worried about misclassification, things like that. Again, I guess we're at that point in the video where I need to say I'm not a lawyer. If anything I say sounds like legal advice, consult a legal professional. Don't just take my word for it. But I think Scott's pretty safe because you're booking your own loads, so you're not under the control or the direction of the company. You own your truck. You're not buying it from him. You're hauling from multiple brokers. So I think there's a lot of things there that safeguard Scott against the normal AB5 things that these bigger companies worry about in their lease purchases in Illinois and California and places like that, New Jersey. So, yeah, I hope you do, Gary. It probably gonna be the only chance for us to ever meet, but yeah, I hope you come on. Mark says you crushed me this week. I got 6,600. Hey, that's not a bad week. Uh, 9 times out of 10, 6,600 beats me. I find a lot of gross weeks in the 4,500 to $5,000 range. So this was a significant week for me to gross 8,900. And I'm not trying to come on here and mislead everybody and make y'all think I get that every week. But I am hoping it motivates you guys that things are getting better. Not as fast as we want them to, but I do think things are getting better. Yeah, that's another thing. He pays for the ELD. He pays for all the trailer related insurances, and I'll be honest, I don't even know what all they are. Cargo and whatever trailer insurances have to be covered. Pays for all the trailer maintenance, all the trailer repairs, unless it's something you did. So if you hit a building, then you're going to pay for that. If you curb a tire and blow the tire, then you're going to pay for that. But if you're doing 70 down the highway and a tire pops, he pays for the blowout. So there's a lot of things in that 20 or 25%, depending on which plan, or 18 to 25%, depending on which plan you're in, that he covers. And I think it's a fair deal. And then Also, after a year, he gives you a 2% raise no matter which plan you're on. And he said he would let you change if you got in a plan and decided you wanted a different one. He just don't want you changing plans every week, whichever plan benefits you the most. He wants you to get one, stick with it. If it don't work, he doesn't mind switching you once or whatever. He just don't want it to be a recurring thing. That international I had with Roadrunner had a Cummins in it. I believe it was an ISX Cummins, if I remember correctly. It was I believe a 2015 International. Yeah, it was a 2015, and the Volvo I got from Roadrunner was a 2016 Volvo. Good evening, Abandon. Thank you for being here. Really good money doing in Florida, going in Florida right now. From parts of the country over here, I found some that was in the low twos, 202, 211, right in there. I didn't see any real home runs, but they were big long runs from Montana down to Florida. Other parts of the country, yeah, you can always get good going into Florida. It's just uh, and you can intrastate staying in Florida, doing Florida to Florida, you can get good rates sometimes, but it's just you're going to take a bath when you come out. And even if you get into some of the southeastern states, they know a lot of guys are deadheading out of Florida, and you still take a bath. But something's going on in the market because brokers are negotiating a lot more this week. I've bumped several of them. Well, that load I did from North Carolina to Washington State, I bumped them $500, and the $2,500 load, I wasn't able to bump them, but it was such a good load, I wasn't fighting with them anyway. Who is 39 last weekend in Montana? Who is 39 last weekend, Montana? I don't get it, Mark. Try me again. Maybe somebody can help me with that one. I'm not trying to pick on you or anything. I'm just saying you can save so much money by getting rid of that truck. I sent you an email with 2 trucks. At this point, no, I couldn't because I'm in a contract. And so if I turn this truck in, I'm going to have a very, very large repo on my LLC and on my personal credit. And it's a substantial enough money. They're probably going to sue me. So I'm going to have a judgment on my credit as well. So it would be financially foolish of me to do that right now. I'm going to go to the email and look at this truck, these trucks that you sent me. This reminds me of the car sale days, though, Alaska. And I'm not trying to be defensive or mean to you or anything like that, but people would try to haggle over the phone. They would call and go, "Oh, you got that Mustang there. It's only worth, 10,000 less than what you're selling it for." And it's like, how can you appraise something without driving it, without looking at it, and things like that? Let's see. I'm looking on the Todd at truckertodd.net. Hopefully. May have to go to the other phone to do this. Nope. Here we go. All right. Give me just a second, everybody. I know this makes for an interesting video. Well, the first obvious thing is it's a year older than mine, so that's got to be factored in. I'll be the first to tell you that doesn't add $50,000. I'm not saying that. Let's see. And you didn't share the link with me, you just shared me a screenshot. So let's look at the second picture. Also, it doesn't say that it has the VIT interior. Mine has a side box on it. It doesn't have a side box. Um, there's several things here. Again, I'm not saying this is a good or bad truck. I'm just saying I don't know that in two pictures, actually not even two websites, in two screenshots that I can determine that truck is comparable to mine. And even if it is, I'm already in this one now. It'd be silly for me to try to get out of it. Here's one that's the same year as mine. This one does look closer at 62,950, but it's a 10-speed ultra shift and mine's the 12-speed. So I've got a lot better transmission. Um, Also, condition of the APU. I'd want to check out the APU on it. And so, yeah, there's several things here to consider. Let's see. Does this one have? This one also does not say if it has that VIT interior, the swivel seat, the leather seats, the heated and air conditioned seats. It doesn't mention if it has a side box. There's not even any pictures. Let's see if this other one has. Yeah, I don't even see an APU on it unless it's on the other side of the truck. So again, if, like I say, uh, Alaska, I'm happy with my truck, but if you're in the market for a truck and you think what I did was stupid, then buy one of those and let me know how it works out for you. Hey, Todd, I'm sitting here in OKC waiting for a load and having dispatch forget about me for 2 days in a row now. Man, you you need to do something nice for the office people at your company. You're always getting stuck somewhere. And you're a nice guy. I don't know why they keep doing you this way. I talked with Martin Transportation Recruiter today, but I was very disappointed with his bummer attitude. I would say this too. Guys will call a recruiter and they'll ask the recruiter how dispatch is going, how freight is. That dispatcher doesn't have a clue. If you ever meet the dispatchers in person, a lot of them are really young. They just got out of college, probably never even seen the inside of a truck. They just go off hearsay what they heard. And so they'll tell you, of course, they're going to tell you it's good. Oh, yeah, it's great. Or they'll say, it's a little slow, but you can still get rich out here. And I don't put a lot of stock in what a recruiter tells me regarding freight or running lanes or things like that, unless it's somebody like we had at Michelle that they've been, or with Swift with Michelle. She had been with Swift for like 25 years and she had a lot of contacts within Swift and she was pretty knowledgeable about truck availability and lanes and things like that. But your average Joe six-pack dispatcher, or I mean recruiter, they don't have a clue. They're just bloviating trying to get you to sign on the dotted line. Yeah, but I think there's a couple of companies that have the blue Martin trucks too. Is it the tanker? My grandson is currently in Dallas, Texas right now receiving a spinal tap. And I have not talked to them today because they were getting that procedure done. I'll probably talk to him after the video or in the morning. But I did talk to him on the phone yesterday and he sounds good, but they got to figure him out. And like I say, he's in Dallas right now having a spinal tap done. The tax accountant issue, I'm just keeping really good records, and I have not even jumped into it too deep this week. I'm about to have a lot more available time to deal with that kind of stuff in the next couple of weeks, I predict, and so that's when I'm going to focus on it. Typically, I do my research on the weekends and then make phone calls during the week. and kind of talk to people. But I haven't made a final decision yet about who's going to replace the previous place, and it's going to be a soup sandwich trying to integrate all my different revenue streams into a new accountant without just totally overwhelming them, as well as over 9 months of tax information. Being an approved carrier for JB gets you 135 off each Goodyear tire. Definitely worth a look. I'm getting new drives for 415 each. Uh, I do pull JB Hunt Freight when they're not so dirt cheap. They're one of the brokers I use, but Scott has a national tire account too, and so that's there as well. Also, my ES Advantage fuel card also has a tire account as well. So I've got some options on tires. I don't doubt that JB's is better, but man, they're among the cheapest when it comes to rates. They just don't pay well right now, and I can remember when they used to be pretty good. No good loads out of Florida, Mark. Yeah, I agree with Ramon, and I think Ramon lives in Florida, don't you? I rebuilt 6 ISX for 14,850. The rebuild kit isn't but $8,000. Well, that's really good. The only thing I'd say to that is how long ago was it? Of course, mine was a few years ago too, and mine was at the international dealership in Lubbock, and I'm 100% sure, 100% sure that they were gouging me. I hate that dealership, and Roadrunner felt like they were gouging them too, to the point that, uh, yeah, it was. I don't want to comment too much, or I'll be receiving another cease and desist. But in Lubbock, the International and Kenworth dealer are in the same building, and they're a bunch of snakes. And right across the street, in my opinion, your results may vary, but across the street is a Peterbilt dealer, and they're extremely busy, but they're very good, in my opinion. So I always go to the Peterbilt dealer if I have a PACCAR product because they seem like they do a lot better. Oh, I didn't know that's how it worked. I thought you could turn it in since it's a lease. No, it's the title's in my name. That's part of what the holdup was getting the title transferred. They classify it as a lease, and that benefits me on taxes because I can deduct my whole truck payment instead of taking depreciation. But I'm buying that truck. It's so at the end of the term, I pay $1 and they send me a title. Or on the second to last payment, I can pay $1 extra and they'll send me the title. But no, there's no getting out of it. I seen a nice Kenwood, or I bet he means Kenworth, 2018 for with 400,000 for 35 yesterday. It was a clean truck with all the records well maintained. It makes you wonder why they were selling it so cheap. I'm not denying it. I just, if something's too cheap, I get skeptical. I get nervous because in this day and age with the internet, we can always look and see what stuff's worth. And man, that sounds like a great deal. Shoot, a 2018 with 400,000 would be a great deal if it was a Freightliner or an International. So it's a super great deal if it's a Kenworth. Man, I sent them coffee and donuts a month ago. They hired me a 23-year-old girl. Only work experience she had was working at Sonic. I was disgusted. Man, tell her to bring you a tell her to bring you something from Sonic. That reminded me of another story. A guy that used to come in here a lot, and he quit coming in here. We both worked at Dart, and when I was having problems with safety, his recommendation to me, you guys are going to love this, is that I go buy a $50 gift card for everybody that worked at the Lancaster terminal in Dallas. And I'm like, there's no chance of that happening. Now, I'll go in, I'll shake hands, I'll be friendly, but I'm not going to bribe them to do their job. DART already pays them. They don't need me to pay them an additional $50 a piece to do their job. And that's extortion. What happens after I give them that gift card? Then a couple months later, things start to drop off unless I bring another gift card. People just need to do their jobs. And maybe this girl will learn and maybe she'll get good. But that's funny. But look at it like this. Maybe they did that to you because they figured you're such a strong driver that you wouldn't require a lot of maintenance and she'd be able to handle you. If you were a problem child, they'd probably put you with somebody really experienced, but they probably figured you knew your stuff and that you'd be fine with her. I think a lot of people forget that you're trying to get back in the game and with what though would work for you. Yeah, I think maybe that's what's going on. He doesn't know the history, what happened. I was definitely in a command seat when I had that Volvo with the clear title. And the goal was, and people that know me back then know, the goal was to drive that truck 6 to 8 months and trade it in and get a really nice truck. And having that accident and totaling that truck totally screwed up everything. So then I had to scramble and stay in the game. And, I've said all along that almost all of us are one major breakdown away from being out. And, there's an argument to be made. Maybe I should have went company driver for a year or something like that, but I wasn't going to do that. And after you've done the owner operator thing, after you've been your own boss for a while, it's just hard to go back and work for somebody. There's opportunities in Lubbock where I could have done that, been home every day or every other day. And I looked at those things, but I knew uh, that I wanted to stay in the game. And so I made some decisions, and it's okay to second guess me and think that you might have done something different in this situation. But truth is, you don't really ever know what you'll do till you're in that situation. And so I got the best truck I could get with the money I had available, and I leased it on to the best company I could get on with that would hire me with a recent accident based on what I knew at the time. Now, since I got here, I don't believe there is a better company. And I've said that. I told Scott that the other day. I think his program's very fair. There's not one morning that I've woke up and I've thought, man, he's screwing me over. I'm getting ripped off. Not one morning. I'm very happy to be here. I wake up grateful. I wake up happy. I wake up stressed. I ain't gonna lie. It's trucking. Uh, there's times I'm stressed. The market definitely has stressed me at points. When that air tank messed up, I was really, really stressed, and I wondered if I was going to make it through it. And Scott would call me like every day or every other day, and he'd be like, just hang in there. You're going to make it. He's like, I've been in your shoes. I know what you're going through. Just hang on. It's going to get better. And now he's doing the "See, I told you so" tour. Now he's calling, going, "See, I told you it'd get better. You just had to hang in there." And I have to concede, yeah, you were right, Scott. I knew I had the ability. I just didn't know if I had the ability to stay in as long as I needed to. But I knew I could if I could just survive it. Not tanker dry. Oh, okay, I know which one you're at. Yeah, if you go there, I'll be curious about how they are because they might be they're not a mega carrier, they're a medium sized company. They might be a good company for me to send people to that maybe don't have all the experience they need or need a larger company for whatever reason. So let me know how it goes if you decide to go that way. I know you're a little discouraged because of the recruiter you got, but they might be a company that I go, hey, one of my viewers really likes this company. Maybe you check them out. Or maybe if they come in the chat here, I go, well, ask Channel 19. He's talked to him. He knows a lot about them. 30 days in Miami, Florida. All right, Ramon, I got to ask you a question. Uh, how often do you go to the beach there? Because I would think you'd go all the time, but maybe you get sick of it. I'm just curious. I've never been to the Miami beach. Hey, Channel 19, man, I appreciate that. Hope to cross paths someday on the road. I'm almost 4 years in the industry, so I enjoy your knowledge. Well, thank you, sir, for the donation. I really, really appreciate you. The easiest way to do it is to email me and at todd@truckertodd.net, and I'll give you my phone number, and we can text, and we cross paths. Some people randomly run into me in truck stops, but yeah, if we cross paths, I'll buy you a hamburger or something out here on the road, and we'll hang out. I love meeting people. Also, I don't know what all truck shows I'm going to. I'm definitely going to Matt's again. So Matt's is a good place to meet me and hang out with me as well. Uh, and then I'm going to try to sprinkle in some more truck stops now that things are kind of starting to get back on track for me. But thank you for that donation, man. I really appreciate you. And email me sometime. Let's see, where was that was the June of this year. That was the June of this year. Let me. Oh, so that's recent. So your numbers, well, maybe prices dropped or something. I don't know. It was going to be like $43,000, but I'm 100% sure that they were gouging me and Roadrunner on that deal. No Fear says, "Hey everyone." Sometimes the Trucker Todd thing works against you if they see it, if they recognize you at some of these shops, they think you're loaded and they think you'll pay anything, and they try to rake you over the coals. But uh, yeah, it was a bad deal. I decided then and there I wasn't going to that dealership. Now sometimes I'll go in there and buy parts, but no service at all at that shop. Let's see. Hope all is well. I'm in Missouri waiting to get loaded to go to California. Yeah, we had another guy in here that's in California getting ready to go to Texas. Um, but yeah, it sounds like you got you a good one. You'll be busy this weekend. All right, Michael, I'm going to write this one down. Let's see. Tax Centers of America. Don Wood. 253 581 4533. Yeah, I'll give them a call. I appreciate that. I got a little list here, and I'll check them out. Today's been 35 years. I left Cuba, was 13. Now I'm 48. I think it'd be fun to go to Cuba. I do. I think it'd be fun. Have you ever gone back since you got here? Channel 19 says, keep chasing your dreams, Ramon. Yeah, Ramon's a good guy. And I like him because he comes in here and puts a lot of good comments. He's got a lot of wisdom. And so he's a good guy to have in here. But I had forgot that he's from Cuba. Or I'd have had a bunch of Cuba questions for him. Fist bump. Ramon says, thank you, Channel 19. Oh yeah, that's true. He says me and Todd are old school. We got almost 26 years. Yeah, I did. You've been at it a long time too. So that's another good one for you. When you first got to the United States, because there'd be about a 9 year gap there. Did you do some other type of work, or what was your occupation prior to trucking? We might do a show about that one time and let everybody talk about what they did prior to trucking. Might be interesting how some of us ended up in our trucks. Hey, Todd, sounds like I might have to go back to trucking before too long. I might be replaced by artificial intelligence. It'll be a while before they replace truck drivers. Um, man, I started to make a really bad joke about truck drivers. Um, yeah. If you want to come back to trucking, come on, man. We'd love to have you. Uh, Now, keep in mind, if you've been out of the game a while, most of these companies are going to want you to go out like a rookie with a trainer and everything. What kind of work are you doing that you're being replaced by artificial intelligence? Because it's coming to trucking too with these autonomous trucks. Swift Transportation has, I think, four of them, and I think two of them they've driven more than a mile. So they hadn't been real impressed with them. And the other thing I would say about autonomous trucks, there's a reason they're testing them on I-10 between California and Texas. It's straight, it's flat. I mean, wait till the winters aren't that bad. Uh, I think it's a long time away from being what they want it to be, if it ever comes. And trucks are already getting ridiculously expensive. Just imagine with all that extra technology on there, what a new truck will cost. Todd, have a great night. It's almost time for me to start rolling again. I get to pull an all nighter. Yes, sir. Have a great night, my friend. Be careful out there. Last time I went to Miami Beach was in '97. Too many fluffy seals. How about Cuba? Do you go back to Cuba sometimes? And do you have dual citizenship or do you just have American citizenship now? Because I think it'd be cool if you had dual citizenship. Oh, crap. I missed something. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go back and grab it. Alaska Hall says, I didn't mean to attack you for getting that truck. Just thought I could shine a light on a different direction. Didn't know it was that big of a hassle to get out of the lease. It's no problem, man. I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you challenging me. I need somebody to take me to task. So we're good, man. But I appreciate you coming in and your comments. And generally speaking, I agree with you. If you can pay cash for a truck, that's why I had that Volvo. You're going to be better off. And but here's the problem I'm running into is I tell people get $5,000 to $10,000 and I'll help you get a truck. And most of these guys can't even save $5,000 to $10,000. So if they can't save $5,000 to $10,000, how in the world are they going to save $50,000? And so that's the dilemma that you run into, and there's a whole argument that could be made if they should be owner operators or not. I had people showing up for orientations at lease purchases with not even enough money to buy their own food. One guy I had to call, actually it's happened twice. One was a female in Phoenix, and I had to call and get her uh, all kinds of stuff, an Uber to the hotel, a hotel. She didn't have a hotel, food money. She showed up flat broke, and the recruiter had all gone home. So I had to call the recruiter at home, get them to contact her. Another one went to Dart. He was so broke he couldn't afford to eat. I had to call the recruiter at home and get him vouchers so that he could eat during orientation. Because, like, you get a free meal at the hotel for breakfast, and then they would buy lunch, but he had no other food besides that. And he got there like on I think it was a Friday night or Saturday morning, and his orientation didn't start till Monday. So he was going to have to go a couple of days with no food. And I would I would try my best to at least have some money when you're going to one of these lease purchases, and preferably the more the merrier. Oh boy, what did I miss? I got off here and I'm trying to get back to where I was. Got sidetracked there, but yeah, no hard feelings, Alaska. I appreciate you taking me to task. Hemi Life says 47 trucks over at his company, M&M, I think it was. Yeah, if I'll try to look them up after the show, but if you want to email me their information, I'll look into them. Like I said, uh, I still think that just because of personal experience, that I like what SRO Logistics is doing, but it's not for everybody, and everybody has different taste. And if somebody's not a good fit for SRO Logistics, they might be a good fit for your company. They're in Bryan Center, Michigan, or Byron Center. All right, I'll try my best to look at their safer score and Google them and everything after the show. Depends how many calls I get. The phone usually blows up right after the show. Be safe, Gary. Owner operator gets 90% of the gross. See, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, though, that so many people get focused on the gross and not the deductions. That's why I'd have a lot of research to do. He can give you 90%, but what's the trailer payment? What's the, all the fees that go with it? It's not what you gross, it's what you net. And a lot of times people forget that. It's there's a lot of those Chicago area based Russian foreign owned companies that do lease purchases that they do 88 to 90%. And then when they get done with you, you make 8 to 1200 a week if you're lucky. But it gives them bragging rights on Facebook. Oh, you can gross 10,000 a week. All right, let me get back up here to, we got another one. I'm getting there, sorry. Trucking with Hemi Life with the $1.99. Thank you very much, my friend. But you didn't put a comment. I feel bad that I can't respond to your comment, but I really appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. And he comes in with another one at $4.99. I appreciate you. I really do, sir. And I'm not criticizing your company for sure. I just I got to check them out. But yeah, like I said, some people that's all they care about is the 90%. And if I run across somebody like that, I'll sure tell them about your deal. And if you're on here, I'll refer them over to you. Let's see here. Trying to get back where I was. I lost my place again. Ah, so your company has a lease purchase option too. That's actually not bad, a 85-15 split, but what are the truck payments and things like that? Yeah, I've got a lot of course, you just know what you see on TV for Cuba. You hear there's a lot of classic cars there. There was a Fast and Furious scene that was supposed to be in Cuba. Who knows if they really shot it there or not? The good cigars are there, which I'm not a smoker, but you just picture all these beaches, and with it being the country that it is, you expect things to be pretty cheap there. And I just wonder what it's really like there. But I think it'd be fun to go check it out. I don't know what percentage of the country speaks English or nothing like that. A new crate motor ain't but 37,000. Yeah, but that doesn't include installation. Labor's where they get you. Um, and I don't remember the labor numbers now. I've probably got that receipt somewhere, and I'm sure I'll have a troll at some point that'll say I'm lying about the 43,000 or something like that. And I'll have to dig up the receipt and prove I'm telling the truth. But yeah, um, I don't doubt that at all. And I don't know why they didn't offer me a crate motor instead of just totally rebuilding this one from the ground up. Like I said, I have no doubt there was some gouging going on that day. Trucking with Hemi says, congratulations. Thank you, sir. No forced dispatch. Ah, so they dispatch you. See, I'm self-dispatching. I prefer that. I don't feel like I don't feel like anybody can dispatch me as well as I can dispatch myself. And that's not me beating my chest and bragging, "Oh, I know it all and I'm so smart." I know how I feel when I wake up in the morning. I know where I want to go. I know where I don't want to go. I know when I want to go home. I know if I'm in the mood to do a multi-stop load or not. And same with you. I think you could dispatch yourself better than a dispatcher could dispatch you. But, some guys like having a dispatcher. Some guys pay a dispatching service to dispatch them. It is a time saver because they're getting on the load boards looking for loads for you, negotiating the rates and things like that. But I enjoy that side of it more than I actually do driving. And so that's what I would say about that. But I'm glad you found something that works, and I'm definitely going to check it out after the show, especially if you email me the information. If not, I'll have to go off memory and look it up as best as I can. Sometimes these shows go long. We had one recently that went over 4 hours. Most of them in that 2.5 to 3 hour range, though. Get 20% of the load up front. Now that's excellent. There's none of that here. There's no upfront advances or nothing like that. But yeah, that's nice if you can get that. Did you hear about the Prime driver that passed away? Apparently it was a YouTuber. No, but I wonder who it was. I know some of the YouTubers over there, and I'm familiar with some of them. If Miss Mother Trucker comes in here tonight, she works at Prime. She might know who it is. We all got to eat, buddy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pulling reefer. See, that's another difference. I'm pulling dry van by design. I've got more experience pulling a reefer than I do a dry van, but the uh, the reefer I hate grocery warehouses, and sometimes I still have to go to them. But uh, I told Scott the other day if he got a reefer, I'd consider pulling it. The rates are generally a little better pulling a reefer, but you generally sit a little more at grocery warehouses and meat packing plants. But and I would consider a tanker. I'm too fat and too old and too clumsy now to do flatbed. I'd fall off the trailer and hurt myself, or I'd hurt myself throwing tarps or something like that. Ah, yeah, I could see that. They could do virtual classrooms, have the students in a room and just have a monitor up front and have one teacher doing, several classrooms at the same time. But yeah, that'd be the worst part of you coming back to trucking is you'd probably have to go out with a trainer. And for a very experienced driver, that's a tough pill to swallow. But trucking's one of those deals. You can come out here and you can make a lot of money, or you can come out here and lose everything. And some of it's in your control, and some of it's out of your control. A crappy dispatcher can destroy you. Crappy equipment can destroy you. There's just um, and being in the right place at the right time when a load pops up or something that can have a lot to do with it. But there's no guarantee of success or failure. there's things you can do to kind of hedge your bets, but it's ultimately up to you. Same thing here. They give you the detention. That's awesome, then, 100%. And yeah, that's great. I don't like being dispatched anymore. Yeah, I've been rolling. I'm coming up on 4 months with this company. The 9th will be 4 months. So I'm about a week and a half away from 4 months. And we haven't had uh, we haven't had a moment. We've had one disagreement, and it was over pretty quick. And I mean, 30 minutes later, we were both apologizing to each other on the phone. I think we were both just tired. It was early in the morning, but I haven't had one moment where I was like, I'm going to hang it up. I'm going to peel these stickers off and I'm going to go somewhere else. Hadn't crossed my mind. And I hope, I don't know, I can't speak on his behalf. I hope he hadn't had a moment where he's like, I may have to let Todd go. He's not cutting it. Um, and I got a rough start out of the gate. Like I say, starter going out on the truck. That's probably the closest. I had 2 or 3 trailer tires blow early in the beginning, and so I mean, it wasn't the picture perfect start you would hope to have. I had some mechanical issues like that air tank, things like that. But I mean, now we've kind of got a rhythm going, and I think I'm happy with the arrangement. I hope he's happy with the arrangement. I haven't seen any indicators to make me think he's not, but uh, yeah, I'm glad to be rolling too. There was a point, when I had that accident, everybody's like, "This is the end of Trucker Todd. Nobody will hire him. It's over for him." And they might have been right if I was trying to do a company driver job. They might have been right, even in some lease purchases. But when you have your own truck, it opens up so many more doors. And when you have your own insurance, it opens up even more doors. And so I've been really fortunate. I've had 2 clean DOT inspections in the 4 months I've been here. And so I'm trying to do my part as best as I can. But I don't want this video to be, oh, look how great I am, or look how much more I know than the next guy, because I still make mistakes. I still screw up. And I share those with you as well. I've talked about the paperwork mistakes I've made, things like that. So, but yeah, I'm glad to be back on the road too, and I appreciate your support. I really do. That's why I keep my CADL current and keep praying for my DO or paying for my DOT physical every year, thanks to high blood pressure. Yeah, but the deal is they want recent over the road driving experience at most of these companies now, and they classify uh, over the road driving experience as driving to more than 5 states. So my last company job I had, where I was home every other day, I just went Texas to New Mexico, and they considered that not over the road. So a lot of companies wouldn't look at me. That's why I went to Dart, because I'd worked there before. They're like, we know you, we know how you work. Matter of fact, the operations manager said, "Hey, I'll bring you back on the condition that you work with me." He said, "I know your reputation. I know how you work. I know how you run." And he said, "I want you working with me." I said, "Sure, I like you. I'll work with you." And him and his brother worked at Dart, and they're both great. They were both in leadership. They've both since left, but they were great guys, and they were big decision factors in me going back to Dart when I did, leaving that local job. Again, thank you for those super chats, everybody that sent those in. I really appreciate when y'all do that. But not Hurricane Kenny G. He thought, what's 21 days before you get your first check? Yeah, somebody was telling me about that deal, and I can't believe it. He'll advance you money that first 3 weeks, but not give you a paycheck. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, when you start getting paid, oftentimes you got so many advances that then you're struggling because you're not getting paid anymore. But you've got a hooded truck, and some people, that's all they care about. But the problem is, and this is something they don't think about over there. And before I say anything, so Hurricane doesn't send me a cease and desist, this is my opinion and my opinion alone. I believe that Hurricane puts you in the lower trucks, the plastic trucks, in the beginning because you'll get the better fuel economy that first 90 days. And then after the 90 days, they move you to a hooded truck where you're going down to 5 to 6 miles a gallon uh, because by then you're already on the hook. They've already started making money on you. And you go, well, I'll tough it out because I've got a hooded truck. But yeah, it's not a deal I would do. I do like the wood grain cabinets though, and I have seriously considered at points in my life contacting their shop and seeing if I could hire their shop to retrofit one of my trucks with those wood cabinets because they do look nice. But I did see a YouTuber that said that they build them real cheap and that they start coming apart over time. I guess from the rattling and vibration and stuff like that. I laugh every time you say that, Michael, though, because he does look like Kenny G, in my opinion. What is 90% of what is 90% of what is the question? Don't know if someone has worked there, show you proof. Yeah, exactly. 90% of what? And I'll tell you another thing I worry about in that situation. And this isn't me beating up on Hemi Life or nothing like that. But if you don't see the rate con, then you don't know that you're getting 90%. You're taking their word for it. And there's companies right now that are being sued for saying they were paying 88% or 80%, and they weren't. They were adding a fee on there and they were paying less. And so if you're not seeing the rate con, you don't know that you're getting the percentage that they say they're giving you. Now, they're supposed to show it to you, but my understanding of the law is they're supposed to show it to you if you're on a percentage, but good luck getting them to do that. My situation, Scott doesn't see the rate con until I email it to him in many situations. Sometimes the broker will email it to him at the same time, but I sign the rate cons and I negotiate the rates. He's never contacted me and said, Todd, you can't do that load. You've bid it too low. Or he's never said, Todd, you bid that load too high. It's whatever I do, I do. And that's another freedom. Um, so, I mean, I get accused of making recruiting videos, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm really not. But if I've got a good experience there, I'm going to tell you it's a good experience, and then you can decide if where you're at, if you've got a similar experience, and if you don't, maybe you talk to your operations manager and you say, hey, I was watching Trucker Todd. He says his company did this. Have you guys ever considered doing this? And just see what they say. I do the same thing. If one of you guys hits me with a good idea and it's something Scott's not doing, I'll mention it to Scott. Hey, Scott, some guy was telling me about this at their company. Have you ever thought about doing this? I can give you an example. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, uh, somebody had made a comment about I was wearing Swift merchandise in the videos. I said, well, I got a lot of their shirts. I got a lot of Dart shirts. They're good shirts. I still wear them. And I said, have you ever thought about getting merchandise? And I said, man, I'd love to have an insulated mug that said SRO Logistics, or a t-shirt to wear in my videos that said SRO Logistics, or a baseball cap that said SRO Logistics. And I said, even if I had to pay for it. And he said, yeah, we're going to do those things at some point. But he said, right now, the company's not really big enough to justify it. And he told me some things he'd like to do in the future regarding that. And so it wasn't a confrontational thing where it's, this is BS. I work here. You should have this. You should have that. It was two adult men talking about the direction of the company, things we'd like to see in the future. And our thoughts on the thing kind of aligned really well. So it was good to hear those things. And you can bet that the second he gets that kind of merchandise, that I'll be proud to wear it in a video, uh, because I really am happy to work here. I'm happy to tell people about it. And it's just that one obstacle. Everybody's got to get their own truck. And you can't really expect him to have a lease purchase at the size that his company is, but who knows what the future holds? We'll see. For me, it's hopefully going to hold me driving this truck right here and doing what I'm doing. Most of the old cars in Cuba, they're not original no more. They still run in diesel motors. Why? Diesel is cheaper than gas. Ah, ah, well, there you go. Yeah, and let me preface this question a little bit. When I was in training, this is all the way back in 97, 96 or 97. I still remember this. My trainer took me to Redondo Beach, California. And I expected it to be like Baywatch, this beautiful sand, pretty water. And I went there and there was trash everywhere and homeless people. And I was so disappointed that that's what a California beach looked like. I think the East Coast beaches look a lot better. And I'm wondering if Cuba's that way. Are the beaches clean and pristine like what I'm picturing in my mind, like what you'd see on TV? Or is it pretty filthy and there's a lot of homeless people there and trash and things like that? And I realize that we're stereotyping all of the beaches there and that it's going to vary from beach to beach, but I'm just curious about that. Also, wonder what an airline ticket to Cuba costs. It's not that far. I bet you could probably take a boat there. I think Puerto Rico would be another cool place to go. And it's a U.S. territory, so I don't think you have to have a passport. Okay, I already got that question. Man, did I circle back around? There were two videos from other Prime drivers. His channel was EKM Transport. No, I'm not familiar with him. What, did he have a pretty big channel? And what did it say what he died from or just natural causes? The news video doesn't show anything other than a Prime truck in the trees off the highway. I'm interested to know how they found out it was him. Probably off like the truck number and stuff like that. So I wonder if he had a heart attack and went off the road or fell asleep or what. It's that's sad. I'll try to look into it and maybe do a news story on it or something. Heck, I drive a hood truck, 2021 Pete, 600 horsepower, 18 speed. Are you driving that though as a company? No, you're owner operator, aren't you? Or are you company driver? Only a tool. Yes, sir. But a pretty tool. My bad. It's a 2019. Still a really nice truck. I'd give a kidney to have one of those as long as I didn't have to pay for the fuel. I do like them. And if I won the lottery or made so much money off YouTube I didn't care anymore, then yeah, I'd probably have one too. But as long as I'm a working man, I got to drive a working man's truck. I'm doing great, Jim Trucker. How are you? Good to see you again. Company oil field. Yeah, so that's a big deal right there because oil field's big money anyway, so they can afford it. and they want you to be comfortable because they're asking a lot out of you. So I get it. But yeah, right there, 3.9 miles a gallon. So I'm getting 2.5 times the fuel economy you are. And that makes a big difference out here when you're an over the road driver, especially when you're pulling dry van freight, just general freight. So if we round you up to 4 miles a gallon and we round me up to 8 miles a gallon, I'm getting double the fuel economy you are. And that can be thousands of dollars a year. That's a big difference. If you figure if I spend 6,000 a month on fuel, that would mean you're spending 12,000 a month on fuel. I mean, it could be 60, $70,000 a year difference. Just roughly doing the math in my head. Right now, since I said that comment, calculators all over the country are going crazy, and there'll be videos tomorrow making fun of me. Trucker Todd can't do math. He said it was 60 or 70,000, and it's only 59,000 or something like that. Anyway, it's a buttload of money. Take my word for it. But yeah, I can see why an oil field company would do it. I could see why a specialized driver would do it. Getting a really good freight rate. He's not going to get good fuel economy anyway, depending on what he's hauling. I can see why some military contractors might have it, but doing it just general freight like I am, the money's just not there for 5 miles a gallon right now. Jim Trucker says he's doing good. Sorry for the repeat comment. I tried to delete and consolidate the comments. Now you know why I'll be replaced. It's okay. I can't throw a rock at anybody in here when it comes to technology. I need to take some online classes and learn. There's a lot I need to learn so that I can be more proficient at this social media thing. I'm trying to start the TikTok channel. We're creeping up on about the halfway point where I can start doing lives there too. But yeah, I'm also trying to put together a political deal that people can subscribe to, and so and trying to work out merchandise and drive a truck at the same time. So I get it, man. We're all just pedaling as fast as we can, doing as much as we can, the best we can. I think a lot depends on what you're doing and hauling to what type of truck you might use. Yeah, I agree. I don't look down on anybody for driving a hooded truck. I just, I know in my business model currently it doesn't work, but I think that's every truck driver's ultimate goal is to end up in a hooded truck. It's just, can you make the numbers make sense when you do it? And who knows, as technology improves, there may come a day where they can get hooded trucks to the point that you can get similar fuel economy to what you can on a plastic one. Oh boy, if these fuel prices go up much more, I'm going to have to buy a siphon hose. Yeah, it's probably about time to start looking at locking diesel caps and things like that. But I've been fortunate. I've never had any diesel stolen, but I know guys that have caught people stealing diesel out of their trucks. Let's see what happened here. It has all the cool chicken lights, blue lights on every fender and chrome all over the inside now. Yeah, I bet you feel like $1,000,000 when you drive it. And again, you're a company driver, so kudos to you, man, because you're not having to worry about the fuel or nothing. You're riding in style, got a good, comfortable truck. I don't blame you for wanting that. If you don't have a truck that gets good fuel mileage, you're going in the hole. Got to do business. Yeah, I think I generally agree. Like I said, if you're doing something specialized, uh, maybe it makes sense to have a truck like that. Um, you can definitely afford it if you're getting those higher rates. But I think it gets harder to justify it when you're doing a reefer or definitely not a dry van. I think some flatbedders can justify it, but it's just to each their own. Whatever you can afford in your business, and we all have. Some people have got on to me for not including my personal bills when I talk numbers, and that's because it's not fair to you. Some of you guys live with a relative. You have no home expenses. You're single. Your kids are grown. So yeah, if you want a hooded truck, get one. It's you're not hurting anybody. You don't need a lot of money. I met a lot of I met a lot of drivers like that back in the day, and have even talked to some recently at the Hurricanes of the world and the Western Flyers of the world that they know they're not going to make a lot of money and they don't care. They've always wanted that truck. It's their dream truck. They don't have any bills at home. They don't have a wife at home starving or nothing like that. Their kids are grown. It's just them, and so they're living their dream. That's great. I'm happy for them. But in my business model currently, it doesn't work. Now, when this truck pays off, maybe it does work at that point. We'll take a look at it then. But right now, it doesn't. I think I'd really like to have a pre 2007 truck. Um, and really, what I'd like to have is a Detroit 60 series truck. But as they rack up the miles and stuff, it's going to get harder and harder to find. I wouldn't mind having an old Ford Aeromax truck either, or a flat floor cab over from like JB Hunt or Schneider. But those are getting harder and harder to find. Those things are 20 something years old now. So finding one that'd be roadworthy would be nearly impossible. And even if you could, finding parts for it would be impossible. All right, let's jump back in. When are you coming out with the Todd hat? I made one the other day. I don't know if y'all saw it. Let me replace my Kenworth hat. Make sure that my patches are still on there. Give my seat a second to air back up. So this is a hat that used to belong to another company, and it used to say Trucker something on it, and I replaced it with, if I can get it to show right, replaced it with Watch Trucker Todd. And then on the back, it used to have like a flag and their website, and I put mine on there. And so this was my favorite hat, and now I can wear it again with pride. It's very comfortable. If you look inside of it, it's got a sweatband, and I love this hat. And so when we do get the Trucker Todd hats, I would love it if I could get a hat like this. I've got the tags still inside, so I know who made it, and I'm going to try to get some hats like this. But yeah, so instead of throwing the hat away, I decided to recycle it. But instead of promoting a really crappy company that did me wrong, I decided to use this hat. And but yeah, I want that stuff to come out. I had a friend of mine. He said he wanted a Trucker Todd coffee mug that had my picture on it. And I said, why would anybody want to look at my face early in the morning while they're drinking coffee? He said, oh, I just think it'd be cool. So we got all that stuff coming. I'm still working on it. Obviously, the more subscribers you have, the easier it is to do those things. Companies reach out to you about stuff like that. I could do it now, but some of them would want me to have inventory and to mail it from my house, and that's really hard to do from out here on the road. And now that my wife's working, it'd be hard for her to do it. So my brother runs a company that does things like that, and right now I've got to gauge the interest and see how much of it we think we'd sell, and if I could get it at an affordable price that everybody could afford, and things like that. So it's definitely not a get rich quick thing. One guy was telling me he makes like $3 a t-shirt and like $1.50 a hat, but it would just be a cool thing to do. I'd like to wear that stuff in my videos, and I think it'd be cool if I ran into one of y'all at a truck stop and y'all had some of that stuff on as well. So all I can say is stay tuned and it's coming, but I appreciate it, Ramon. I really do. I think it'd be cool if when Scott was doing orientation over there at SRO Logistics, if he could give somebody a Trucker Todd hat or a Trucker Todd insulated mug or something like that too. I don't know if he could do anything like that. Hadn't even mentioned it to him, just thought of it, but or a Trucker Todd duffel bag or something like that. So those kind of things are coming. I can't give you an exact day yet. I'd like to have it out by Christmas, but Christmas is creeping up on us really fast. If I could get a hooded truck, what would I get? I love Peterbilt. I just do. It's a pretty truck. It's a heavy truck, but that's what I'd get. I'd get a Peterbilt. I like the experience I'm getting because I pull a lot of different trailers, wide loads, and I'm permitted for heavy haul. Yeah, I bet it's fun, and I bet it's something different every day. You get a lot of attention from the lot lizards. I guess some of y'all have accused me of being out of touch, and I guess I am. I only know of one place in the country where lot lizards are right now, and I don't even know if they're there anymore. The last time I went through there, I saw some, and they looked rough. But if you offered me $10,000 to bring you a lot lizard, I wouldn't know where to start looking. I'm that far out of touch with the wildlife, let's say. But the only place I know of in the world that I saw some was Stockton, California, and it was bad there. And half of them could have been cops or something. But when I started driving, they were everywhere, and they'd knock on your truck all night long, and you had to be a heavy sleeper, or you wouldn't get any sleep. I give hood drivers plenty of room; they could go off very soon. Yeah, I would encourage y'all to do that with all drivers right now. Uh, right now, there's a lot of stressed out people. There's a lot of frustration with the market, and people can snap really easy. I found myself that way last night. I was inside a truck stop. I was looking in a food display case, and the aisle was really, really narrow. And this construction worker came in, and he mouthed something under his breath. I didn't hear him real good. Something like "get the f out of the way" or something. But he kind of mumbled it, and I came real close to like confronting him, and I said, "No, he's probably had a bad day. It's not worth getting in trouble. I'll just let it go. Even if I don't get arrested, I've got to get up in exactly 10 hours and go deliver this load." It was that one I did this morning. And so I let it go when, uh, it wasn't that long ago that I'd have lit him up right there in the truck stop. So, yeah, everybody's fuse is a little shorter right now. And when we're driving, we're all more susceptible to road rage and things like that. And we all just need to take a deep breath and realize it's going to get better. And when you're going through a bad time, you tend to think that the rest of your life is going to be like it is right now. And it's not. You're going to have good times again. You might be down right now, whatever you're depressed about, but uh, at some point you're going to be laughing and you're going to be glad that these days are behind you and you're in happier times again. Fix your APO is a gallon every 10 hours. Yeah, but the only time I really idle it when I'm up here in the north is when I'm doing this video. So it'll go at least 12 hours without cranking and not using any battery. But yeah, I'm going to get it fixed, but I got to weigh downtime in there too. And when it makes sense to put the truck down and when it doesn't make sense. Right now, it makes sense to rack up the revenue. And then when I'm at home on home time, uh, put it in the shop on an afternoon and let them fix it. But yeah, generally speaking, I agree with you. And we're talking days, not, or maybe even a couple of weeks before we get it fixed. We're not talking months. Went from a 359 Peterbilt to a Freightliner Cascadia. Way more profitable now. Yeah, I bet. I bet. I love my deleted Cascadia. Runs great. Yeah, but I'm afraid of those because I've been hearing that DOT is going to start hooking up to the exhaust, and they'll be able to determine if your truck is deleted. And it's a big, big fine if they catch you. That would be easy to do. My brother offered to print them up just for the cost of the stickers. And I thought about printing up a bunch and giving them away, like when I go to truck shows and stuff. But uh, as far as shipping them out or giving them out, that would be a hassle in the current situation. If I could run it through a company or something like that, then I'd do it. But yeah, that's it was going to be real cheap. My brother said if I just paid for the vinyl stuff they make the bumper stickers out of, that he'd print them up for free or at cost. I would love to take that hat off for Sunday dinner at mom's. There you go. Yep. And nothing better than Sunday dinner at mom's and talking about Trucker Todd. My first long hood truck was a 2000 Freightliner Classic XLT 132 500 Detroit 13 speed. Bought it in 2005. Yeah, I love those trucks. It that was a great truck and one of the last really great trucks that Freightliner made, in my opinion. Now I like the Coronados too, but man, after that they started making the Century, and the Century was a nice truck, but it wasn't a Freightliner Classic, nowhere near. Wow, we're doing good. We've creeped up on the 2.5 hour mark. Um, if you guys got anything else y'all want to talk about, throw it up, and if not, I'm gonna hop off here and look for loads. I doubt I'm gonna find anything on a Friday night unless somebody canceled at the last minute or something like that. But I'm sure gonna get on there and look. I'm gonna call my son, see how the grandson's doing. Call the wife, see how she's doing, things like that. But we can go a few more minutes if y'all have got something you want to talk about. Really, is the Century that old? I remember them like you're probably right. The first one I remember was like early 2000s or late. I guess you're right, like 97, 99, right in there. Um, but yeah, that's like I said, not a bad truck, but just the sleeper between a classic or a cask. I mean, dang, I'm going blank. The sleeper between a classic and a Century, just so much difference. Hood trucks are obsolete anymore. They're just status symbols anymore. Yeah, so much of that is just the world we live in now. How many people have an iPhone or the top of the line Samsung? Not because they need it, but just because they want to look cool to their friends. How many people drive a car that they hate because they look cool to their friends, or they live in a neighborhood where they're miserable because they look cool to their friends? It's I used to say this at the car lots. The most practical vehicle on the road is a minivan. I mean, the floor's low, you can load stuff, you can haul kids, it gets good fuel economy. and most people wouldn't be caught dead in a minivan right now. They go out and buy this huge 8 or 9 passenger SUV, and some of them don't have kids or never haul passengers or nothing. They just want to look like a big shot, big and cool. Or uh, they go out and get the latest iPhone when there's nothing wrong with their iPhone they got, and they can't even tell you why they wanted the new iPhone. They just wanted the top of the line or the new Samsung. And I'm currently using a phone that's almost 2 years old, and I am going to upgrade it when the new model comes out, but mainly for memory. I bought the phone that's my main one now. I bought it as a backup back then, and I got the smaller memory, and I've got it. It's really struggling to handle everything. And then another cheap phone. I had a Galaxy Fold 4, and it crashed, and Samsung reimbursed me for it. So, but I do a lot of stuff, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of lives, things like that. I need phones like that. I'm running a lot of apps at the same time, tracking apps, things like that. But your average Joe Sixpack or Jane Sixpack doesn't need a phone like that. But they want to look like they got the latest and the greatest. First year of the Kenworth T600, 1986. Wow. I didn't know that either. I don't know why they stopped making the FLD 120 trucks. They were good trucks. I don't either. It probably had something to do with safety standards or government influence. There was probably something like that. A lot of your engines in cars and trucks, that's what leads to their demise is stricter emission standards and things like that, or stricter safety standards or something along that lines. But I don't know why they stopped making the FLDs. They were great trucks, had a great reputation. Uh, the Detroit 60 series has a legendary reputation. All right, we have hit the 2.5 hour mark. If you guys got anything else y'all want to talk about, throw it up. Before we all check out tonight, I know a bunch of you have already left. Give me a thumbs up, share this video on your social media platforms, and make sure you're subscribed. Those things really help me out a lot, and they're all free to do. Also, go check out the website. I saw on there we've had 60 more views this month so far than we had last month. So I appreciate all of you guys going to check out the website, and shoot me an email if you got any questions, comments, concerns. You can also leave a comment in the replay of these videos. But I appreciate all the donations tonight. I appreciate everybody being here with me. We'll be back on Tuesday. I'm going to check out all these things y'all told me about, and I'll try to put out some more videos for Monday if I get some time. But let me get this real quick. Last year, the FLD was 120, was 2003. They have ISX Cummins. Yep, that's right. That is true, Ramon. All right, there's the website one more time. I'm checking out of here. Thank y'all for being here. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye, Michael. Thanks, man.